going on, everybody? It is the Bearded One, back with another beer review. Clearing out the beer fridge, so possibly this could be an aged beer. It's another warm rack singles. This is Boldly Gose by Straight to L. Yeah, there's the top of the can. I love the artwork. I believe Boldly Gose has been discontinued. And quite possibly this specific can should have been discontinued off the singles rack, as is my experience with getting singles here lately. But I've never tried this beer before, and because it's discontinued, I did want to give it a shot. Most likely the marketing, the Buddha sitting astronaut just comes from, I would assume, because Straight Tales from Huntsville, Alabama, and Huntsville is largely known for being a big contributor to NASA. I don't know how much NASA does have operations here in Huntsville, which is 45 minutes depending on traffic northeast of me. So I'm not far. I'm in the area. I don't know if they have like a base or anything, but they have operations here. So I think that's where the astronaut comes from. I don't know what the Buddha sitting, levitating blackberry. This is a cool design though. It's like, it's like blackberries with a pineapple leaf. My phone won't focus, so I apologize for that. But yeah, that's what's like. I'm gonna assume. I'm just gonna take a stab and say it's supposed to have both pineapple and blackberry in here, because it looks like a pineapple, but it's made with blackberries. I don't know. Interesting drawing. And then at the bottom it says, where no beer has gone before, so it sounds really experimental. Did I mention it was a Gose? It is a Gose. Goses are usually brewed with sea salt. And because of that, and because of the Reinheitsgebot in Germany, Goses originated from Germany. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong about that, I will freely admit I could be wrong about this. But put it in the comments so we can all learn and grow and get smarter about our beers. I do believe Goses originated from Germany, and because of the Reinheitsgebot, which for those of you who may not know about the Reinheitsgebot, it was, we'll just say the 1500s. I don't want to say the exact year because it could be wrong. It is a beer purity law that went into law in the 1500s in Germany. Because sanitation was so bad in Germany, they needed to regulate beer, and not give people terrible beer, like unsanitary beer, not unfiltered beer, not beer that tastes bad with off flavors, like unsanitary beer. So they formed the Reinheitsgebot, which essentially, in layman's terms, means in Germany you cannot brew a beer that has anything more than water, malt, hops, and yeast in it. It can be any combination of water, malt, hops, yeast, any ratio, whatever, but those can be your only 4 ingredients if you're going to brew beer. And because of that, and because Gose has sea salt in it usually, Gose was banned in Germany for a while. It was like a long lost beer almost. And because of American craft beer, possibly because of the UK, I'm not well versed in the UK craft beer scene or its history. But I would say within the last, let's just be safe and call it the last 70 years, Gose has made a comeback. And we're going to review. Now, Gose is one of my least favorite beers, because if I have a poorly made Gose, if I drink a poorly made Gose, that sea salt combined with the beer, oh, it is usually a sour style too. It's not just like a stout with sea salt. Like, it's usually a soured beer. With the sea salt. Yeah, if I have a poorly made Gose, that salt reminds me of stomach bile. And I have had a poorly made Gose, and that is why it's one of my 5 least favorite styles. However, I'll still review a Gose. I still want to grow and learn and develop my palate. And the only way to do that efficiently is to drink all beer styles, regardless of preference. Pearly Whitehead, little on the soapy side. It's pretty frothy and thick. 2, kind of a medium thickness, not necessarily a creamy mousse-like head. And just a little bit of a murk here. If you're new to the channel, it's just my own customized clarity scale. Murk's kind of the middle of unfiltered beer, and just in my own head, how I think it should be described. It's just a light murk. It's not Bud Light, it's not Natural Light clear, but it's definitely very clear. I can see my fingers on the other side of the glass. Lots of carbonation going on, bubbles just rising to the top out of the bottom of the glass. And then I would say it's on the pale side, like a really light, maybe a deep straw, light gold, SRM. I don't know what the SRM would be, but that's where, I would just say a deep straw, light gold range for the color. It's definitely fruity. I don't want to say I get the blackberry and pineapple. I don't even know if there's blackberry and pineapple in here. I don't know what that fruit was. It may not even be blackberries or pineapple. It may be a whole nother fruit on its own. And if it is, and you recognize what that fruit was, you know the drill. Put it in the description. I definitely get some kind of a fruity sensation though, but it's more, just a generic fruitiness. I can't really pick it out. This beer has possibly been aged in the essence of the beer could be dainty, faint because of that. They say you can't smell sour. But I feel like I can smell the acidity and the salt. I can tell it's a Gose off the aroma. No hop presence, usually not a hop presence in Goses, although in American beers, Americans like to put hops in everything, which isn't always a bad thing. There's like a candied sweetness I just pulled out of this beer. It reminds me of like a fruity candy thing, like a Jolly Rancher, not quite as sweet. I'm gonna have to read up on Boldly Gose after yeah, I'm definitely getting this fruity. I hate to just beat a dead horse. Let's get into the palate, people. It's a shame this was discontinued. I'm not gonna. I don't want to give away the score yet, but it's very tasty. Very tasty. It's very fruity, but it's not citrusy. It's a berry fruit. could even be something exotic in here. It's just a very unique fruity flavor. Maybe that's blackberry. Ale brewed with blackberries. Didn't I read that earlier in the video? And I'm sitting here trying to guess if blackberries are in here. There's other stuff in here though. This just can't just be blackberries. The mouthfeel is not watery. Well, it's watery, but it's not straight up water. It's not thin per se, but it is on the lighter side of medium. Water is a big feature here. It's usually a feature in Gose. Gives it a refreshing quality. However, for all the bubbles and the carbonation that I thought was floating to the top, this thing is almost devoid of carbonation. However, there's a light, pleasant champagne presence in the carbonation. Just the most subtle tickle across the top with that carbonation. I'm trying to search for the malt, but I don't really get it because it is. I wouldn't say this is a sour beer. This is more tart. Tart to me is a little more dull and quick. Sour to me is more intense and lingering. Again, no hop presence in here. No bitterness at all. So how's the sea salt? It's in here, but it plays accent. It plays foreground to the beer, and I think it's appropriate. It's not overly done. I pick it up more on the back end as the beer has been swallowed and the remaining. So it is carbonated, but you know, as everything is still lingering in the mouth, is when I pick up the salt the most, and I really pick it up in the back of my throat more than anything. But as you're sipping the beer, it's very subtle. It just plays accent to the blackberry flavors. Maybe just a crackery malt base, but it's just underneath all of the berry fruity sweetness. Very indicative of the style. I'm just enjoying this beer. I was just lost in the beer for a second there, guys. How would I rate this beer? I really like it. I don't think it's world class. I think there could definitely be better Goses than this, but this is utterly the best Gose I probably have ever had. I did review the Super 8 by Dogfish maybe a year ago, about this time last year, and I was really pleased with this. I like the Bubbly Gose better. I don't know how aged this is. I did get it off a warm room temp singles rack, so I don't know how age played a factor into this or how this beer would taste fresh. This beer could be fresh. I don't know. But for what I have in this specific can, I like it better than that Super 8 Dogfish. I think, I want to say I gave that Super 8, just off the top of my head, like a 4.25. I don't like comparing beers to other beers. I like to compare every beer to itself. So I don't really want to compare the Spirit Super 8. However, it is tastier than the Super 8. And Super 8 was the Gose standard for me. And this is better than that Super 8. To say that for like, what, the 8th time in a row. As recommendations go, I feel like this beer is unique enough to turn off a new beer drinker. However, once you've had a craft beer or two, and you're at the point where you can stomach the craft beers, you know what to expect from a craft beer. This is a very light, sweet, subtly salty offering that I would recommend to a lot of beer drinkers. I think this beer would be great for sour fans. If you like sours, maybe give this beer a shot. If you like Goses, definitely, if you see Boldly Gose, pick it up. If you're into, if you're a summertime seasonal drinker, I think Goses are great for summertime seasonals. If you are a more old school drinker and you use beer salt, I know Jerry Fort, the beer review guy, in his first few beer reviews, he put salt, just straight up beer salt, in his beers when he was reviewing them. And that's fine. I feel like the best beer in the world is the beer in your hand and your favorite beer and the way you like to drink it. As far as the grade goes, I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5. I like it enough to give it that solid, middle A range. It's not world class to me. I'm just not a fan of Goses in general, but I am a fan of this specific beer. Straight to Ale has been impressing me lately, because I went through a string where, and I've said this in a video before, but I went through a string where I was having a lot of their experimental one-offs, things they were testing on consumers inside the brewery, things that they didn't can, and I was fairly unimpressed with most of them. However, they know which beers to can and which beers not to can, and this beer is one of them. They knew what they were doing when they canned this beer, because they have another Gose. It's the FML Gose, and I wasn't overly impressed with that beer. And which beer do I like? The one that's been canned. That doesn't correlate. I think it just shows that they know what they're doing when it comes to beers they want to distribute. That does it for me, guys. Boldly Gose, straight to Ale, Huntsville, Alabama. Roll Tide, go NASA, all those things. I'm going to do a John Pierre thing. Live, laugh, love. I love that outro, John Pierre, if you ever see this review. Till next time, guys. Cheers.